Hello guys, so in this video we will create our first VNet. Now as a part of creating VNet we will create subnet as well. So basically we will discuss what is VNet versus subnet. So guys, any resource such as a VM, when we put it or when we add it in a VNet, we cannot add it directly in VNet, okay? But we add it in a subnet of that VNet. So basically the concept is, let's say this is our VNet, okay? And let's say you need to add a VM in this VNet. So we cannot directly add it in VNet. So basically what we do is we create a subnet. So let's say this is a subnet, and within this subnet we can add a VM. So again, this is subnet, and in this subnet we can add a VM. So let's say this is our VM. Now one more important thing about this VNet or subnet is resources within the same VNet, okay? They can communicate with each other by default. So let's say if I create another VM within this subnet, okay? So let's say I create another VM. So this VM, it can communicate with this VM. So that is, both these VMs, they can communicate with each other. So guys, you see they are the part of same subnet. But let's say in this VNet you have another subnet. So let's say this is another subnet, okay? So this is also subnet, but it's a part of same VNet. And let's say you created a VM in this subnet. So even this VM, it can communicate with this VM, and this VM, it can communicate with this VM as well. So resources within the same VNet, they can communicate with each other by default. Okay, now when we create a VNet, we will provide the IP address range, that is the number of IP addresses which we require as a part of this VNet. And that IP address range we provide using something called CIDR notation, which we already discussed in our previous video. Okay, so for example, if I say that I want to create VNet with this range, that is, let's say 10.0.0.0/16, that means this 16, it means total 65,000 IP addresses will be provided to me, that is 65k IP addresses, okay? And again, what is this 16, what is this CIDR notation, again we discussed in our previous video. So if required, please refer that. Now when I create a subnet, that is, again guys, this VNet is considered as a parent and subnet as a child of this VNet, okay? So let's say we create a subnet. So again, for that subnet also we will provide the range, and as you can guess, this range of the subnet should be part of this range, that is the range of this VNet. So for example, what I can say is, okay, you created this VNet and now create a subnet with this IP address range. So I will say 10.0.0.0/24. So this /24, it means 256 IP addresses. So again guys, greater this number, see this number 24, greater this number, that means the lower the range, and smaller this range, see this 16, so 16 is smaller than 24, so greater is the range. So basically what happens in this case is, say for this this will provide me IP address range such as 10.0.0.0, then this 0, then 1, this 2, up to 255. So total we have this 256 IP addresses, then 10.0.1.0, then again 1.1, 1.2, so again 256 IP addresses. So you see, this is the IP address range of a VNet, okay? And the IP address range of this subnet, it will be 10.0.0.0, then 1 up to 255. That is, the last IP address will be 10.0.0.0.255. So you see, these are total 256 IP addresses. And you see this IP address, that is 10.0.0.0 to 10.0.02.255. So you see this is the part of this range, so this range. Okay, so I hope it's clear now, and now let's head over to Azure portal and let's create our first VNet in Azure. So guys, we are in Azure portal and here we are creating this new virtual networks. So I will say create virtual network. So of course we have to select subscription resource group, and now we need to give the name to our virtual network. So I will say our first VNet, and let's keep region as Australia Central. Let's say next. So as of now, let's keep this security tab as default and let's say next. And guys, this is important thing. See IP addresses. And if you see this IP address, see this 10.0.0.0 and /16. And you see it provides us 65,000 IP addresses, right? And under that, if you see this subnets, so again, this is subnet is a child of VNet. You see the name is default, and you see this /24, that means it's providing us 256 IP addresses. And if you see the range, it is 10.0.0.0 to 10.0.0.255. So first 3 digits in IP address, that is 10, 0 and 0, they are common. But if you see this IP address range for this VNet, see this 10.0.0.0 to 10.0, that is only first 2 digits from this IP address range, they are constant. Okay, so basically in this VNet IP address range we have 65k IP addresses, and for this subnet, see this default, we have 256 IP addresses only. So let's actually not use default as a name of subnet, so instead let's give some meaningful name. So I will click on this pencil icon and I will say our first subnet, and again let's keep other things as it is, and I will say save, and here I will say review plus create, and here I will say create. So you can see our resource has been successfully created. So let's close this and let's click on this go to resource. And guys, first observe this, we are under overview and you see this address space. So it is 10.0.0.0/16. That means we have 65,000 IP addresses in this VNet available, and they will start with 10.0. Okay, now on the left hand side, can you see these subnets? So let's click on these subnets, and as you can guess, here we can see the subnet which we created. So let me just expand this. So yes, this is the subnet which we created. And guys, observe this IP address range. So it is 10.0.0.0.24. That means total 256 IP addresses. But here it says available IP as 251 only. So it's because the remaining 5 addresses Azure uses it for its internal management. Okay. Now what will happen if I try to create another subnet within this VNet? So let's click on this subnet. So of course we can give name. So I will say our second SIP subnet. And guys, now observe this starting address. Now it starts with 10.0.1. See this 0.1, but previous it started 10.0.0. So Azure is intelligent enough to provide us the address range for the second subnet, which will not overlap with the earlier created subnet, right? So again, you can see it's starting with 10.0.1, and again size is /24, that means 256 addresses. So again, let's say add. Let's close this, and again you see the range, that is first 10.0.0 and second 10.0.1. So again, for both the subnets we actually got 251 IP addresses. So that's it guys, as far as this video is concerned. This was just an introduction to VNets and subnets, and of course we will work with VNets and subnets a lot in our upcoming videos. Thank you.